Om Sarvadharmastapakastam Sarvadharmaswarupakaha Acharyanam Mahacharyo Ramakrishnaya Te Namaha. We are studying here Sri Ramakrishna, the Great Master, the fifth part, the Master in Divine Mood and Narendranath. And yesterday we started the 11th chapter, the name being The Master Moved to Calcutta. Such a heading is given because Master was brought to some house in Sham Bazar and he did not like it at all and he straight away walked to Balram's house. So the general reason is given brought to Calcutta. And why he was brought to Calcutta? On medical advice. That is, after Panihati, he developed. Here, in yesterday's reading, there is a mistake. It is written, the doctors told that it is clergyman's throat. The actual name of that disease is clergyman's sore throat. So, the church fathers, they go on talking and talking, so they develop a condition called sore throat. So, doctors said that, we'll come to that later on little, that he should be moved to a place in Calcutta which will be nearer the doctor's place. So, from Dakshineshwar, he was moved to Calcutta. Now, we read yesterday that due to Panihati, he already was feeling throat problem. And about Panihati, he had said that I will just go and come back. It did not happen like that. And one thing which was not mentioned in the previous chapter is that it was raining now and then. So water from top and there was mud on the road. So feet getting wet, the head getting wet, body getting wet, that aggravated and that so many people touched him and he sang and he went into ecstasy. All those contributed to increase in the disease. And it was found that two things are more damaging to him. Doctors said that he should not talk much and he should not enter into samadhi. He could not resist these two because that is the mission of his life. It is so natural for him to go to samadhi. And if some people come, he want to talk to them. So about this also we saw the incident that a young devotee came and Thakur said, how can I remain without talking to you? Though he said that I am satisfied with seeing you, later on we shall talk. But Thakur said, no, that cannot happen. So, this we read the first two paras. Now the third paragraph. Too much labor in giving religious instruction to too many people and sleeplessness due to the Mahabhav were the causes of the disease. So one more has been added, sleeplessness due to Mahabhav. Many men who thirsted for religion came to the master now. So we have seen the Antarangas and the little outside Bhirangas, but now many people came as the name of the master became known. It was became known that there is a man who can help anybody in his religious problems. So they started coming to him. Besides the earlier devotees, new persons numbering 5 or 6 were daily seen to knock at his door. Daily 5, 6 new people thirsting for spirituality. It had become a daily occurrence ever since Keshav had come to Dakshineshwar in the year 1875. So every day 5, 6 new people. We can count how many happened. Therefore, for the past 11 years, the master was often led away by his zeal for teaching the people who came athirst and was not able to keep regular hours for daily bath, meals and rest. So these are not important things in comparison to he has to talk to people. We have seen that. Hardly after meals he takes a little rest, then again he talks to people. In the night he sleeps after 11 o'clock and at midnight he gets up and wakes up his disciples. So when does he sleep? And during sadhana, for 6 years he was winkless. Besides, he had very little sleep owing to the impulsion of the Mahabhav. We have seen about this Mahabhav, that bhav which only Radha and Chaitanya are supposed to have in full, that was seen in Thakur in full. All the relations of the Vaishnava Panchabhavas put together is called the Mahabhav. At the time when we were staying with him at Dakshineshwar, later on, we saw on very many occasions that he got up shortly after he went to bed at 11 p.m. and strolled in an ecstatic mood. He now opened the western door, now the northern, and went out. Again, though sometimes lying quietly on his bed, he was fully awake. He went out this way, not due to restlessness, but due to that samadhi. He left his bed 3 or 4 times during the night, and yet he rose daily as soon as it was 4 a.m. Waited for the light of the dawn, remembering, thinking on, and singing the glories of the Divine Lord, and would then wake us. Is it therefore surprising that his body should have got worn out on account of his sleeplessness at night and his excessive labor in giving religious instruction to many people during the day? That he sometimes felt physical exhaustion was revealed by the master's loving quarrels with the Divine Mother during the Bhava Samadhi. Although the master did not tell anyone that his body was getting too tired and exhausted, we had an inkling of it in his loving quarrels with the Universal Mother, but could not completely understand it. One of us went to Dakshineshwar one day shortly before he fell ill, and saw that seated on his small bedstead in an ecstatic mood, he was addressing someone and saying, "Thou bringest all worthless people here, one seer of milk adulterated with 5 seers of water. My eyes are red and swollen, and my bones reduced to powder with pushing wet fuel into the fire and by constant blowing through my mouth. And this has to be understood in that context. The simile that in those days, wet firewood was only available easily for producing any heat, and then that required blowing always because of the smoke. Pushing fuel inside and blowing, both things are necessary. So that is the simile allegory Thakur has used for the labor he has to do. And 4 shares of water in 1 share of milk means the mind is so much impure with little spirituality, and he has to waken up. I cannot do so much. I, as a person, cannot do so much. If it is thy pleasure, do it thyself with some other instrument or thyself. Bring good people here, those who will attain spiritual awakening with a word or two only. On another occasion, he said to the devotees who were with him, I was saying to mother today, give a little power to these few, Vijay Krishna Goswami, Girish Chandra Ghosh, Kedarnath, and Ramchandra Datta, and Master, the author of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. So that the new people may come here after their angularities have been somewhat rounded by them. This is the problem. Everybody has, other than sadhana, has angularities. And that angularities have to be straightened. And then they will progress in spiritual life. What is the Bengali? That is the English translation. Katakta tayari hoya aman nikatase. I don't think it means that angularity is a problem here. They should be prepared a little, they should be made ready a little, and then they will come to me. Angularity's question does not arise here. A man in spirituality, up to a point, could be guided by these people. So under their guidance and inspiration, the people should grow up a little. And grown people, if they come to Sri Ramakrishna, they will realize spirituality in a word or two. So I think this has to be changed. I would say after they have been prepared to some extent. After they have been prepared to some extent. Regarding the rendering of assistance in educating the people, he said to a woman devotee at one time, pour water yourself and let me prepare mud. That is for preparing the images. This is done. One person goes on pouring water, the other kneading the clay into mud, and then it is made. So you should also help me. You prepare something, I prepare the next. That is the idea. When he saw at Dakshineshwar that the crowd of people thirsting for religion were on the increase, the master in ecstasy said to the Divine Mother just a few days after he first felt the pain in his throat, Shouldst thou bring so many people? Thou hast produced a veritable crowd. I don't find time to bathe and take my meal. It is only a drum and with holes in it, meaning his own body. How long can it last if it is played on day and night? So that is how he looks upon his personality, a broken drum. No I there. Mother has a drum, and by beating it constantly, it has become broken. And if she still goes on beating, it will break. And that is what is happening to his body, especially. It is impossible to ascertain how many people thirsting after religion came to Dakshineshwar. Because as they say, every day 5, 4, 5, 5, 6, and for 11 years. By the end of the year AD 1884, the general talk about the Master's extraordinary doctrine, love, ecstasy, and ambrosial words spread so much among the people of Calcutta. Extraordinary doctrine that Jatamatatapat, love for humanity and for God, ecstasy, experiencing God, and ambrosial words which soothed people and made them progress, spread so much among the people of Calcutta that they were daily pouring into Dakshineshwar to have the privilege of seeing him, and having come once, most of them repeated their visits over and over again. So new 5, 6 people every day. But it is difficult to give an estimate of how many people came to him before the master had the disease of the throat in the month of July 1885. For there was never an opportunity for all of them to come together at one place on the same day, and thus this was good in a way. The inner circle of the devotees of the Master were already feeling a great joy over the swelling of the number of his devotees, as they thought that their object of worship was becoming the object of worship of the whole country, and that the most beloved of them was being loved by all. So that is a matter of joy for them, but they do not know how many. The joy of theirs should have been converted into fear and dejection, for had they not heard the Master repeat time and again, when many people will regard as God and love and respect this, the body will immediately disappear. So it was good that all did not come together, because the devotees would have become then apprehensive. So Master knows everything. He has a very calculated stay in this world. The Master's words about the time of his passing away. He used to give so many hints. Not that on such and such date and such year. That also he had consulted an almanac later on. The Master gave us from time to time many hints about the time of his passing away. But blinded by his love, we did not then pay heed to his words, though we heard them uttered somewhat explicitly. Not only indirect hints, but somewhat explicitly also. Nor could we comprehend their import, though we understood them literally. Sometimes we understood them literally, but inner import we did not understand. All then had but one idea in their minds, namely, how all their friends and relatives could enjoy through the Master's grace the peace which they themselves were enjoying. So they were interested in bringing more and more people. Therefore, the fear that he might pass away never crossed their minds. The Master had said to the Holy Mother 4 or 5 years before he had the throat disease, when I shall take food out of anybody's and everybody's hand, one thing, pass nights in Calcutta and give a portion of my food to anyone else first and then take the rest myself, know that the time of my passing away is fast approaching. 3 hints here. That food in anybody's, out of anybody's and everybody's hand, passing nights in Calcutta and taking that food which already somebody has eaten before him. The course of events was actually turning out to be as predicted. Even sometime before he contracted the disease in his throat, invited to the houses of people in various places in Calcutta, the master was now taking all kinds of food except boiled rice out of the hand of anybody and everybody. Boiled rice, cooked rice. In Bengal especially, that is taken to be annam or food. In Tamil Nadu also I saw the same thing. So that is the main food, and that he did not take everywhere. But other things, sweets or other things, he took anywhere and everywhere. Boiled rice is a technical term. In Bengal, again, and in Tamil Nadu, it does not get, the rice does not get dry in the sun. And so the paddy is boiled and then heat upon. That is called boiled rice technically. The other rice, they say, in Bengali, Sanskrit, atapachal. Atap means heated in the sun. So this boiled rice becomes a technical term. Siddha chal, atapachal. So here, it should be cooked rice. The master was now taking all kinds of food except cooked rice out of the hand of anybody and everybody. He accidentally spent nights also at Balaram Babu's house now and then. Accidentally, Gatana Chakre. Accidentally, not circumstances forced him. Accidentally is not correct word. In course of events, he spent nights also at Balaram Babu's house now and then. As Narendra was ill with dyspepsia and did not come to the master at Dakshineshwar for some days, thinking that there could be no arrangement about his diet there. One day the master had him brought in the morning, fed him early with a part of the rice and soup cooked for him and took the rest himself. The Holy Mother objected to this and expressed a desire that she should cook for the master again. When he said, my mind did not shrink from giving a portion of the food first to Naren. So there will be no harm in that. But he had told that the days of his passing away will come. You need not cook again. The Holy Mother said later, although the master said so, I felt uneasy on remembering his words spoken long ago. She was sensitive, we understand from here. The master's service of Jivas as Shiva. Now this is what is the service to Jivas with the knowledge that they are Shiva. This. What is that service? Rousing the consciousness and helping them to realize the Shivahood. This Saradananda Swamiji states as service. Shiva Gyane Jiva Seva. Service of Jivas with the knowledge that they are Shiva. Although his body became exhausted on account of excessive strain in teaching people, the zeal of his mind in this respect was never seen to wane. Zeal means joyfully doing that. As soon as a fit person arrived, he did not talk about religion to useless people. But if there is a chance, if there is a potential of getting awakened, he did that. As soon as a fit person arrived, he could know his fitness in his heart of hearts, and losing himself in the infusion of a divine power would either instruct him or touch him and thus open for him the path to spiritual progress by touch. It would happen like this. The newcomer's spiritual mood would evoke a response from the master's mind, throwing into the background all other moods of his for some time. He would then see with his divine vision how far that person had gone towards perfection and why he should go no further, why he could go no further, what are the obstructions. Next, he would remove all obstacles on that person's path and make him ascend to higher planes of consciousness. This is what the real Guru does. No, anyway, giving Diksha and then not caring afterwards is not the sign of a Guru. Our Guru is Sri Ramakrishna himself. He thus always served the Jivas with the knowledge that they are Shiva till the last moment of his life and slaked the thirst of the divine desire of men, women, and children acquired during many lives and bathed them in the supreme light of the abode of absolute fearlessness. A gift described by the scriptures as the highest. Annadan, Prandan, Vidyadan, and Adhyatmadan. So Adhyatmadan is the highest, and that gift he was distributing continuously to the people. The master's power of detecting the hidden ideas and the past impressions in the minds of people. Hidden ideas. लोकेर मनेर गुड़ भाव और संस्कार. Okay, not bad. We always saw clearly a power in the master of detecting the hidden ideas and the past impressions in the minds of people. This can be said two things. Past impressions is sanskara, and this is aspirations with what idea. This can be said to be a good proof of the fact that physical health or illness never touched his mind. So the body was getting spoiled, but this power was clear. But although he knew completely the mystery of other people's minds, he never divulged it to anyone with a view to showing off his extraordinary power. That is what the ordinary people do. He did not show off. And he said that should not feel sorry also. He would guide them accordingly. He let anyone know only that fragment of his power which would do good to him and point out a higher path to him, or in the case of a fortunate few, make their faith in the Master himself firm and unshakable. So either capacity to rise higher or coming round to the Master completely, to the highest form of spirituality. We give here an ordinary example of it for the benefit of the reader. An example. Hearing that the pain in the Master's throat had increased, one of our acquaintances, a lady, was about to go to see him in the month of August in the year 1885. Another lady of the locality, that is after the disease has started, another lady of the locality came to know of it and said to her, "There is nothing else in the house today to send to the Master through you. Will you please take with you a potful of milk?" The farmer refused and said, "There is no lack of good milk at Dakshineshwar, and there is, I know, an arrangement to provide him with milk. Moreover, it will be very inconvenient to carry it. Milk, therefore, need not be taken." On reaching Dakshineshwar, she saw that it was not possible for the master to take any diet except milk mixed with rice on account of the pain in his throat, and that the Holy Mother was very anxious as the milk woman could not for some reason. Milkman, so milk woman. And that the Holy Mother was very anxious as the milk woman could not for some reason give the daily quota of milk. She repented of her not bringing the milk from Calcutta and inquiring whether milk was sold anywhere in the village, came to know that there was not far from the temple a woman of Upper India, UP, Uttar Pradesh, Upper India. Now, upper in the map, in the map, north is always shown upper. So, we could have said northern India. Known as Mrs. Pandey, who had a cow and sold milk. She went to her house but was told that all her milk had been sold except about 3 ounces which she had boiled and kept with her. When she said that she required it very badly, the milk woman sold it to her. When she came with the milk, the master took his rice boiled with it that day. Milk boiled with that milk. Rice boiled with that milk. Cooked with that milk. When the master got up to wash his mouth after he had taken his food, she poured water on his hand. Afterwards, calling her to a secluded place, he said to her with affection, "Because something people should not know. I feel much pain in my throat. Will you please utter the mantra you know to cure diseases and pass your hand once over the throat?" What was the meaning? He would not get cured, but that mantra would be gone. That is an obstruction in her life. And so, when she used that and did not succeed, that mantra would lose the power. And she could progress spiritually with so much deep ideas. He said like that. Hearing these words, the lady was amazed for some time. She was amazed and for some time. Oh, amazed for some time, stunned for some time. Amaze does not have time. Some editors have carelessly must have changed this. She then passed her hand over the master's throat as desired by him, and then coming to the Holy Mother, she said, "How could he know that I knew the mantra? Knowing that it was a mantra that made one especially succeed in accomplishing acts done with motives. I had learnt it long ago from a woman belonging to the Ghoshpada community. That is a form of Vaishnavism, who deal in sub-powers. Realizing afterwards that the only aim of life was to call on God without any motive, I abandoned it. I had told everything of my life to the master, except my initiation in the mantra of the Kartavaja sect, same as that Ghoshpada community. The sect name is Kartavaja. Ghoshpada is the name of the place where these Kartavajas used to assemble. Lest he should hate me for it. How could he know it? Informed thus, the Holy Mother smiled and said affectionately, he can know everything, but he never hates anyone for doing anything sincerely with a good motive. That was not a bad motive, though not spiritual. Good, bad are in the same level, and spiritual is in a different level. Anything sincerely with a good motive. You need not be afraid. I also had been initiated in that mantra before I came here and told him of it. The difference is that she had told him straight away. He said, there has been no harm done in your being initiated in the mantra. Now offer it at the lotus feet of your chosen ideal. So give it away, offer it to the chosen ideal, and start spiritual life. Beautiful passage, and how there are obstructions and how it is removed. One place Thakur has said, even one siddhai, special power remains with you, it will obstruct your spiritual path. The disease increased, the sore in the throat bled. Consultation among the devotees about removing him to Calcutta. So now we have come to that point. Some time passed, but the pain in the master's throat was seen gradually to increase. The devotees thought again and again, but could come to no decision when an event came to pass suddenly and showed them clearly what they should do. A lady of Bagbazar invited the devotees that day to supper at her house. She had a great desire to bring the master, but knowing that he was ill, gave up that hope almost completely. Nevertheless, thinking that he might once take a drive somehow and come for some time, she requested a devotee to go to him at Dakshineshwar. As that person did not return, even when it was past 9 a.m., supper at 9 a.m., I went to see something and got something else also. We had seen Ashar and all that, July, and suddenly they have said some time passed. In Bengali, Shravan Jaya Krame Bhadraru Kichudin Gato Hilo. So we should understand 1 month passed after Ashar, and then next month started. Shravan is usually July, August. So August had, second half of August had come. But the pen in the, then we are seeing it. Gara Vidya Bhaktakan Bhavya Tadika Ramani Thakure Ranivar तथापि यदि তিনি जने को अनुरोध करियाছিলেন रात्रि 9টা হইলেও কি this proofreading has been hopeless 9 a.m. This must be looked into at the Madras Mat. She made the guests sit for their meal without further delay. When he came, he meant that person who had gone. When he came and said that the pharynx of the master bled that day, and so he could not come. Those present, Narendra, Ram, Girish, Devendra, Mahendra and others were very anxious, and as the result of their consultation, they came to the conclusion that a house in Calcutta should be hired. And the master brought there immediately for treatment because it will be nearer the doctor's place. And they also could attend on him completely. Seeing Narendra dejected at the time of taking food, a young man asked him the reason for it, to which he replied, he with whom we are so happy is perhaps going to pass away this time. I have known from reading medical books and questioning doctor friends that this kind of throat disease gradually develops into cancer. Hearing of the bleeding today, I suspect the disease to be that. The medicine for this disease has not yet been discovered in those days. So no more clergymen sore throat, it is cancer because bleeding had come. Otherwise there was swelling. The master came to Calcutta for treatment and stayed at Balram Babu's house. When next morning a few elderly devotees went to Dakshineshwar and requested the master to move to Calcutta for treatment there, he agreed. He knew that he has to go to Calcutta to meet more people. All knew the master's love of the Ganga, and so when they found that the river was visible, not approachable easily, that the river was visible from the roof of a small house at Durgacharan Mukherjee Street in Bagbazar. Oh, that Shampukur was later on. In the beginning, Bagbazar itself, near Balram's house. The devotees hired it and brought him to Calcutta shortly afterwards. But when the master was habituated to living in the open atmosphere of the spacious garden of Kali Temple, entered that small house, when he found it impossible for him to live there and walked immediately to Balram Basu's house on Ramkanta Basu Street. But now, RAMA is the spelling given here. People should not read it as Ramakant. I also thought in the beginning Ramakanta, but it is Ramkanta. Basu Street. Balram received him lovingly, and that was his own house like, and requested him to stay there unless a suitable house was available. He agreed to it. So this is how Calcutta. Well-known physicians were called who diagnosed the master's disease. A house was hired at Shampukur. The search for a suitable house was going on because in Balram's house, though compared to that other house in Bhagavad, Balram Sahas was better. For a longer stay, he should have an independent house. Thinking that it was not proper to waste time, the devotees in the meantime called the well-known physicians of Calcutta and secured their opinions about the master disease. Ganga Prasad, that is the Ayurvedic doctors. Ganga Prasad, Gopi Mohan, Dwarkanath, Navgopal and some others were called that day. So many allopathic, Ayurvedic doctors. They examined the master and diagnosed that he had contracted the incurable disease called Rohini, same as cancer, the inflammatory affection of the throat. And that was supposed to be incurable. While he was leaving, Ganga Prasad, questioned privately by a devotee, said, Rohini is what the Western doctors call cancer. Although there is a treatment of the disease prescribed in the books, it has been ascertained to be incurable. So that treatment would help ease it, not cure it. Seeing that no hope was held out by the physicians and knowing that too much drugging never agreed with the master's constitution, the devotees thought it desirable to have him treated according to homeopathy. And they give very least medicine. In about a week, the parlor of Gokul Chandra Bhattacharya, situated on the Shampukur street, was hired for the master to live in, and he was placed for some time under the treatment of Dr. Mahendralal Sarkar, the famous doctor of Calcutta. Famous? He was an allopath and he turned to homeopathy because he found it better. A crowd of people gathered in Balram's house to see the master. That was the very purpose for which he came to Calcutta, though apparently for treatment. The news of the master's coming to Calcutta spread from mouth to mouth all over the city. Without newspapers or cell phone or WhatsApp or any such messaging, mouth to mouth. Coming in batches to see the master, many known and unknown people made the house of Balram ring with joy as on a festive occasion. So it became an utsava when master came there. Although he remained silent from time to conform to the doctor's advice and the plaintive prayers of the devotees were praying, please don't talk, don't talk. He talked to them on religion with such zeal and energy that it seemed that he had come there for that purpose only. So when people said, doctor said, he would restrain a little and then again talk. That he had come for some time to the doors of those who could not go up to Dakshineshwar in order to give them the light of spirituality. Every day during that week, from early morning to the time of his midday meal, and from that time with a rest of about 2 hours to the time of taking his night meal and going to bed, he solved the complicated problems of the spiritual lives of many people and continuously attracted many persons to the path of spirituality through discussions on various topics regarding God and entering into deep realms of ecstasy when listening to music, devotional songs, etc., filled to overflowing the hearts of many individuals thirsting after religion with a flood of peace and bliss. None of us had the good fortune to be present there at all times on all days. The owner of the house also had many a time to be busy elsewhere, making various arrangements about the master and the devotees. It is therefore almost impossible to have a detailed description of that week So we shall stop with mentioning one event only to explain to the reader how the master passed those few days in the house of Balaram, an event in Balaram's house. We were studying at the college then, so we had leisure enough to see the master only once or twice a week. We came to Balaram's house one afternoon and found the hall on the first floor packed to capacity, and we has comfort treatment with people. Even Girish and Kalipada commenced singing with great zeal. Kalipada, Girish's friend, very good singer. Oh, Nitai, hold me. Today my heart feels an unknown sensation as it were. Hmm. Amar Dhara Nitai, it is from Nimai, it is from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. He is saying that strange emotions are coming in the heart. I should not fall down. Hold my hand. Hmm. And the room is packed. The parlor. Entering the room with great difficulty, we saw the master who was in ecstasy, seated in the western extremity of the room, facing the east. We saw his lips adorned with a wonderful smile of bliss and graciousness. His right leg raised and stretched. One person who sat before him, holding that leg of the master very lovingly and carefully on his breast. That man had his eyes shut and cheeks and breast flooded with tears. All were motionless in the room, which was filled with a divine presence, but the song went on. Today my heart feels an unknown sensation as it were. Hold me, O Nita, that is a new thing. I am now being carried away by the waves that rose in the river of love. As Nitai distributes the name of Hari, O Nitai, I have written the bond with my own hand, to which the 8 friends are witnesses. That is, Chaitanya feels himself to be Radha, and Radha has those 8 friends. They are the witnesses. That means in their presence, she has committed herself. How can I pay off my debt to the creditors of love? For all my accumulated wealth has run out, all the qualities, and still the debt remains unpaid. Now I am going to be auctioned on account of that debt of love. So the I itself will be lost. Now this is a song which will produce a tremendous upheaval in the master's mind. The song came to an end. The master had partial consciousness sometime later and said to the person before him, say Shri Krishna Chaitanya, say Shri Krishna Chaitanya, say Shri Krishna Chaitanya 3 times, thus making him utter that name thrice consecutively. The master regained his normal consciousness shortly afterwards and began talking to others. On inquiry, we came to know that the name of that person was Nitya Gopal. Please be careful. Nitya Gopal is another person about whom Thakur said he does not belong to this place, though he had Paramahansa-like state. This name is Nritya Gopal. Nritya Gopal. N-R-I-T-Y-A Gopal. Not Nitya Gopal, please. Nritya Gopal. This is a fundamental mistake. This will confuse with the other man. That the name of that person was Nritya Gopal Goswami. Please correct your books. Inform Madras Math about it. You people, please. That he was a professor of a college at Dhaka And that hearing the news of the master's illness, he had come to see him. The Goswami was as great a devotee as he was good looking. We have come to the end of this 11th chapter. So the master is now, after 1 week, he goes to Shampoo. And 1 week, Saradananda Swamiji said, 1 day, even time giving, you can understand all 7 days were like that. Chapter 12, section 1, the master stay at Shampoo. A description of the Shampoo house. We'll take it next time. Many things are studied in this 11th chapter. Om Sarvadharma Stapakastam Sarvadharma Swarupakaha Acharyanam Mahacharyo Ramakrishnaya Te Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.